everyone, it's Auntie Tambarambaa or Tammy Porter here, and just before we start today's page, so we are up to day 5, which is Envy, or is it day 4? Day 4? We're doing Envy today anyway. I thought before I get into it, I would just explain a little bit about my book that I have created and I guess my process for what we're doing. So I'll just pop these to the side for a minute and show you my little book. So I have handmade this book completely from scratch, and I will put the link in the comments or in the description, and quite a few of you have found it. The book is actually one I made a few years ago. So this is the size that I love and I use for the advent calendar. And I was thinking, what am I going to do for the March colour challenge for Art by Marlene for 2025? And I thought, I do love this size. And the other thing I love about it is I love seeing all my little albums together on my shelf. So I'm just going to grab the other ones. So this is all of them here. So this is 2024 Advent, 2023 Advent and 2022 Advent, and they sit gorgeously on my shelf. They have lots of, this is probably quite close, but lots of little bits and pieces that I've collected over the years. I add to the spines and the covers. As you can see, they're really fun to make, and they're just full of obviously the inspiration from over the years, the pages and the prompts. But I'd make 3 signatures is how I do it, and that's all explained in the video if you'd like to play along. And the cover is just like some cardboard, so whether it's the back of a paper pad or whether it's a cereal box, it doesn't matter, because we cover it in gorgeous Marlene paper anyway. So you can see that this is gonna look amazing. Maybe I should zoom that out a bit. Okay, hopefully you can see this better, but they are going to look gorgeous all together sitting on my shelf because they are all the same size. So although I like quirky, I do like a little bit of control to my chaos. Okay, so I'll just zoom back in to show you my book. Right, so here we go. So this is the one that I've created. So I've got lots of fun stuff on the spine, a little paintbrush even. These are elements from Marlene's book, the new paper elements. I've added a badge that I already had, but all of this stuff here and all the paint I've added in the paper is all Marlene. So I'll take you through my little book. I couldn't help but add rainbow to the inside because the back, the cover is mainly black and white with a bit of colour. I thought I'd make the inside rainbow. And then I found these, little organza ribbon that I've been hoarding for years. And I thought, well, that would be perfect. So I haven't done the first page yet because that's where I'll end up putting the actual challenge in there. So I need to print that off. But I'll take you through what I'm doing. So when Marlene announced the colour challenge, I was like, yay! Colour, I'm all about colour, as you can see from my nails, and you know that from my artwork if you follow me. However, when she listed all the paint colours, some of them I freaked out, let's be honest. Some of them she's included like sand and mud fight, and while they're beautiful paint colours, the idea of this challenge is to make that daily colour the feature. And when I use the browns, and the sand, I usually use it for skin colour, and I guess mud fight I've often used for trees and branches, and they're not, they're in there, but they're not the feature colour. So I was a little bit like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make this work? So what I've decided to do is I'm lucky enough to have the paints and the colour Swatch art cards, which are new. I think I have now got these in the wrong order. I think it goes like that. So what I'm going to do is create each day, obviously with the paint colour, but I'm going to flip it over and grab some inspiration of some sort from the back. And I just thought I could just see myself sitting down came to working with the browns or perhaps some of the more muted tones, that I would just not know where to start. So I thought, well, this is going to give me a jumping off point. So it might just be something small, or I might take total inspiration from it. So I'll show you what I mean. So I know you've already seen these pages, but this is my first page, which is lace. And I've used lace, I've added a bit to the gorgeous little bear, and I've used it on the flowers. They're all done with lace. But how I used this for inspiration is I just added, this is actually a collage paper that Marlene brought out. So I've added just a touch of it, just some of my scraps to his shirt, and some scribbles and around the quote, which goes with that as well. So that is obviously using it in a small way. But the next day is ballet, which I don't have a problem with ballet. I love ballet and use it all the time. But this is the inspiration. And so I kind of just totally emulated it, which was lots of fun because it stops me from thinking and it just lets me enjoy my art and enjoy the time that I have to create. So I think Marlene did bring out a collage paper in this style, but I thought, well, how do I bring it into the now? So Marlene recently released these stamps here, and so that's what I have used here with ballet paint. And of course I added a bit of orange, and I've put some police and navy into the background. I've done a bit of scribbling. Yeah, so lots of fun. And, you know, poof, I'm off. I don't need to sit there and wonder what I'm going to do. So the next day is happy, which I also don't have a problem with because I love this colour. And how I've used the inspiration for happy is there's the yellows, blues and greens in that page, which is where I got the idea for this one. And I've obviously used majority of happy, but I've added some blue and green. And I've added these actually come from the page of wings that are in the paper elements, which are here. So there's a whole page of those. So I've created a butterfly, and I also used the little stamps from the layered butterflies as well. So I've created a butterfly, but then I saw these lines on here, and so I have used those. So this was a plainer wing, and so I've added it to there. You can see if you can see that. So I've added a few lines, and then I added a bit of colour as well. So that's how I have used this one. So today we are working with Envy, which is green, beautiful green, and this is the inspo. So straight away I obviously think, well, I'm going to use a flower of some sort, and I'll probably add some pinks, and I might go, obviously there's Envy in here, but this might be a bit of Glow, which is the neon green. So let's just create and see what happens. But that's how I'm going to use my challenge. And what we'll see is if I get to a colour, say example Tuscan is not a colour that I'm naturally drawn to. So if we flip it over, you know, I'll grab some sort of inspiration from there, whether it be a stamp, it could be this little flower, it could be this dress that gives me inspiration, but that's how I'm going to use it. So another one is Mud Fight here, which is the brown that I was talking about. And I see that and I go, well, I can work with that. So that is how I am going about it this year. So I can't wait to see what you'll do. Let's get straight into my page today. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so here's the end result of what I created for day 4, which is the Envy. But I've used the markers. I just used the blue and the green. I've used my little journal that I made. I've used white gesso. I've also used the colour swatch art cards that are new. Paint wise, of course, I had to use Envy. I've also used Glow, which is the neon green, and I used some white, which is lace, and a little bit of punk, which is the neon purple. And of course I used the sticky glue, and I've used the new die cut, but specifically I used the stamps that are on the bottom. I've used the Lotsa dot stencil, I used a geometric stencil, I'll put all the codes down in the description, and I used the Gibberish stamp as well. Okay, so I've got my envy in the corner to keep me inspired, and I just start by whacking down some white gesso all over the page. I knew I wanted to do a little bit of stenciling, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do reductive stenciling. So, you know, I just thought, let's just put the gesso down. So now I'm having a flip through the paper elements, and the first thing that caught my eye was this tulip. Of course, it's a flower, and it's in the colours that are in the inspiration card, which you can just see to the left of the screen there. So there's the pink in there, and there's plenty of the greens. So I thought, yep, that'll do. And because my journal is on the side, like it's like normally that tulip I would have standing up long ways, I thought, well, how can I do this? And I thought, well, I'll lay it across the page. So I decided to come in with Envy, and I've just whacked it down with a dry brush. Now you can see some of the textures that it's left behind, but I come in and cover that up. So then, using one of the artist sponges that I've wet and wrung out, you must make them damp because it makes a huge difference to your stenciling. And then I've just come in with some of the Envy and extended it out. So I did want to leave a little bit of white space around the edge of the page, but I've extended out with that geometric stencil. Is it Geometric Stars it's called? And I've just done that basically around the edge and making sure it's not all even. I want some places thicker than others. And then just to cover up the centre, to cover up those lines that have been created by the paint, I've come in with a bit of Glow, which is the neon green, and I've just done a little bit of stenciling through it, a bit of reductive stenciling, so popping it down and pulling it off between the stencil, and it just gives a lot of texture, so it just covers up what's there. So this part you don't have to be too fussy with. You could do some mark making. And I've also come in with the Lotsa dot stencil, and just using the green marker I've done a few dots through the stencil as well, and that just gives that background some layering and some interest. And then I glued down the tulip so that it looks like it's laying across the page, and I should have done this step before I glued the tulip down, but I forgot about it. So I've just come back in and stamped some of the Gibberish with archival ink into the background. So I'm adding to that background all the time, but trying to remember to keep some white space around the edge. And so once my stencil, my tulip, was laying down on the page, I just got that feeling of being discarded, like it's fallen over, it's, someone's perhaps given it to you and you've discarded it. And it gave me the inspiration for a quote that I've seen that really speaks to me. So I had to put the quote onto the page. I grabbed the U from that die cut and I stamped that down with black ink. This kind of went through a process. So originally I put black ink and then I went over it with the blue because I thought in that card there's a little bit of aqua, and I thought I'll tie that in. But I ended up not liking it, so I kind of tried a few different ways. I tried shadowing, but in the end I just went over it with a black paint pen. And then I wrote the rest of my quote. So I think it says, "You deserve to be in an environment that brings out the softness in you, not the survival in you." And so both the U's and the heart are stamped from that metal die cut set. And now I've just added highlights with white pen, and this is where it came together. So I was happier once I'd done that over the top of those, and it goes with sort of the highlights Marlene's already put on the tulip. So then I'm just adding a little bit of a shadow around the bottom part of the tulip as though it's laying down, just using a Stabilo oil and some water, And then I just do a bit of a scribble around the edge. And I do come back in with a little bit of the Gibberish stamp. I just felt like I needed a little bit more in a couple of spots. And I don't know if you've noticed, even though it's sort of random, there's a couple of words in there, and one of them is love. So I wanted to pop that into the background as well. And then I just used a little bit of punk paint just to oomph up those colours, which I always do. I love, love, love that paint colour. So that is it from me. That is day 4 Envy. I cannot wait for this month to see what you're all doing and to see how my pages evolve. So thanks so much for being here. I would love you to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you follow me regularly, you know how much I love your comments. So see you soon. Bye.